Hi friends, in our time together today, I'm introducing the Nightingale Low D whistle by Alexander Karavaev. And Alexander, if you ever watch this video, I'm certain I mispronounced your last name. Please excuse me. I picked this whistle up from our good friends at bigwhistle.com, and in the notes to this video, I'll put a link to the Big Whistle website where you can pick up this whistle if you want. I'll also add a link to Alexander's YouTube channel to the video where he's playing this. It's one thing to hear me play this whistle. It's another to hear a professional play the whistle. So that's really nice. I'm going to talk about tone quality, volume, breath pressure, breath requirements. We're going to talk about the appearance of the whistle. I'll let you know at the end of this video pricing and who I think this whistle's really targeting. And it's a great whistle. I'll say that from the outset. And I'd like you to stay with me to hear more about it. The very first thing I want to do, though, because tone is the driver for whether you want, I think it's the primary driver for whether you want to whistle or not. There are other primary factors, but tone's like top of the list for most everybody. Let me play a scale and a few other things. I almost broke into a song there, didn't I? So, there's your first listen to the tune, to the tone of the whistle. I'll play a couple other things and two tunes I'll run through at the end. So, look at it physically first. This is an aluminum-bodied whistle. It is tunable. The tuning slide is built as the part of the tube is integrated with the ABS head, and that fits onto the tuning slide, and it's a tape seal. So when you clean your whistle, you replace the tape now and then. A little hint on a whistle that has a tape seal at the tuning slide: if it ever feels like that tuning slide is sloppy or almost approaching wobbly as you play, or it feels like the tone's degrading minimally. At times that's a clog issue, but it's often with a whistle that uses tape at the tuning slide. That means fix your tape. So an ABS head with that, it's a more traditional appearance. You'll see that similarly on the Carry Optima. You'll see it on a Dixon and a number of other whistles. So that's that. But then obviously the innards of this whistle are a little different than those others, because I know that because of the tone quality this whistle delivers different to them, and the tone qualities they provide different to this whistle. So that's what really causes some of that difference here. The biggest thing I want to mention, on the body aluminum, that means you're going to have a bit of brightness into the tone, not overwhelming. It's a lighter whistle, so it's very easy in your hands, nice to hold, fairly well balanced. I found it very easy to play. The ABS head does not add anything funny to the weight. Since it's an ABS head, you're not going to get clogging issues, and you can pick it up and have your whistle warm right away for playing, and that's really good. Now the holes on the whistle are a little larger. I'd say similar to the MK Pro, the Howard, the Carry Busker Low D that Carry doesn't make anymore, but just for a size thought there, that will help add in. That's one of the factors adding into volume. Now the whole spacing. This whistle will have you playing on a full piper's grip or a modified piper's grip. Whatever's comfy for you. I'm not a stickler on where you put your hands. But play so that you can move your fingers fairly easily. And for me, I do full piper's grip just because my fingers are more comfortable that way, really from a wrist angle standpoint. The holes are not beveled, recessed, but there's no sharpness to them. They're very nicely finished. The entire whistle is beautifully finished. I have no qualms with fit and finish on this whistle. It's very nicely done. But you will have to use at least a modified piper's grip for this whistle. The 5th to 6th hole spacing is not inordinately long, but it is minimally on the longer side. So bear that in mind. Now from here, I want to talk a bit more about describing the tone of this whistle. I'd say the tone of the whistle is it has a good richness to it, some depth, a little bit of breathiness, not overly breathy, not as breathy as like the MK, not as fuzzy as like a Carry, maybe leaning more toward the Carry than the MK. Let me let you hear the tone again. So there's some good resonance in there. I think one of the things of the slightly lighter aluminum tube, the wall is not thin, but it's minimally thinner than some of the aluminum whistles I have. That permits a little bit more resonance within the body that you're going to sense in that tone, which is nice. That's what adds to some of the richness in the tone there. So it has a lovely tone. I'd call it, some warmth and richness, minimal breathy fuzziness to it, but it's not as clean as like my Howard would be, if that helps at all. Always remember, anyone, myself included, anyone's description of the tone of the whistle is by nature subjective. I'm sitting in my study and I have my ears. That's why I want you to predominantly hear this whistle, because that makes the decision. From an ease of play standpoint, and this is impacted by breath pressure and some of the design, but from an ease of play standpoint, like I said, you could just pick this whistle up. It's played that because you could go off to the races with it. Wow, that was a bad dad joke with a low D whistle. So it plays very easily. I find that I could play this both quickly and expressively. Now, from a beautiful, quick crispness with which the whistle can be played, that's why I'm adding the link to Alexander playing it, because he can play it much more quickly and crisply than I, and so I want you to hear him. And again, in a minute, I'm going to play a couple of tunes. But if I were to describe the playability and ease of play, I would say this is a great all-rounder of a whistle. So yeah, some slow airs could be played nicely with this because it leans into some good richness, but it's not too clean. A whistle that leans too clean is not going to suit you for an emotional slow air, and yet it's still has enough potential. It has a good responsiveness, so you're going to be able to play it quickly as well when needed. Now, from a volume standpoint, this one leans a little louder than many low D whistles. It's one of the few low D whistles I set off my on my Apple Watch. I set off the loud environment warning, and I can't. There are a lot of low D whistles you can't do that with, and so I could with the Nightingale by Karavaev. So interestingly, also on the volume range, I often like to say, what's the range of the volume? You can get good volume range from this whistle. Just show you on the low D. Try the volume range before it breaks into the second octave. Okay, you heard there. I could play it with nice tone, leaning toward that a louder. Right before I broke into the second octave, I did not lose tone quality. That for me is impressive. A lot of whistles where you play it gently and you start leaning into the breath pressure to increase the volume, it starts, the tone starts failing, and it didn't on the Karavaev. I was really impressed. Let me do another note, same thing. The E is often tricky on whistles. Okay, so you can get a good volume range in it. It's not a one-trick pony from a volume standpoint. And I find the volume on the second octave and the first is nicely balanced. You can lean into the second octave more, but that's kind of the nature of the beast, based on how a whistle's made. Breath pressure requirement. I wouldn't say that the Karavaev Nightingale is a free blower, but there's not a lot of back pressure building up. So what happens, you're blowing into the whistle, depending upon the design, it flows more freely or it kind of gets clogged here. But that enables you actually to play longer passages by just keeping that pressure going. This is not like a straight through tube blowing, but it leans more to a free blower than a hard blower, if that description makes sense. So you're able to play it, though. It's not like a pure free blower. You're still able to lean into it with some breath pressure, but it doesn't have a lot there, and it plays. That's one of the reasons it plays so freely and easily, and that's also one of the reasons why playing up into the second octave will be much easier for you to learn. And also means that playing the second octave, you're able to do it more quietly, which is something you can't do with whistles that have a really heavy back pressure to them, like the MK Pro, for example, where you just have to really hammer it. Now, what that also means, though, is the Nightingale by Karavaev is you're going to have to breathe a little more frequently, because you're not creating just that stabilized breath pressure. More of your air's coming through. That also gives it a bit of that breathy tone, because a little bit more's jumping out. Which is a nice combo, because it often requires a whistle having a lot of breath pressure to get that airy sound. So it's a nice combo there. You are going to find that you have to learn to breathe a little more frequently, because it's an easy blower, leaning easy blower. So all that said, I think it's time to play something else. I'm going to play After the Battle of Aughrim just once through, so you hear that. And then a little of the Ash Grove as well, because I want you to hear it. to this whistle. Let me play just a bit of the Aughrim for us. I think I'll start at the second half and just play that through once, like I did with After the Battle of Aughrim. I didn't play any of the repeats, and I'll do that, just playing the second half of the Aughrim. I had to stop the video for a moment. The street sweepers were coming by for their first pass of the spring. And with the Aughrim, one of the reasons I'm choosing this is you can get a little bouncy in that second bit. And I'm going to play the second bit of the Aughrim with that little bit of bounciness to it so that you can hear this whistle performing on that. See, you don't have to push it hard. So that was an example not just of a little lightness in playability of this whistle, but also that noticed I didn't have to lean in to play it at full volume. And I love the ability to play a range off of a whistle. So, all right, let's talk about who this whistle's targeting and the price and where to get it. I personally, I don't want to really choose one store over another, but I am going to say I'd personally pick it up from bigwhistle.com because I know they have them in stock. I know they ship well. I know you could talk to them. Those are big criteria for me. And their pricing's always great. Very competitive. So you could pick this up today at today's exchange rate for $162, and they'll ship it well. They'll ship it trackable, and that's a good thing. And then you can connect with them. Those are, like I just said, huge. Who's this whistle targeting? Now, Alexander would say it's targeting the professional. Of course he's going to say that. If I made this whistle, I'd say that. Personally, for me, and I won't get into the specifics as to why I make this statement, I'd say this is at the top range of the intermediate whistle market. I believe the Howard, the MK Pro, they're sitting in that professional grade whistle market, and I won't say where in that because that's all a matter of taste. And from a matter of taste standpoint, Alexander's going to put this in the professional whistle market. When you hear him play it, you're going to put it there. But this is a very inexpensive, high-end, intermediate, low-end professional. How about if I say that? But that puts it in direct competition for me with the Howard. And you know how much I love my Howard, so that makes this a hard conversation for me to have with you. But I do think that the Karavaev has its very good, solid place in the market. This whistle, as an leaning easy blower, is the perfect whistle for someone to pick up, to learn to play, and you aren't going to have to fight that second octave. You're going to learn to play the whole whistle quickly. You know how much I am not going to recommend a whistle that will not play the top of the second octave. This is an instrument, and you should be able to play every note. And the Karavaev Nightingale delivers that. I like that. Now, good consistent tone quality, consistent volume. You can play it quietly, you can play it loud, but you're going to end up playing it pretty loud. So it's going to stand out. If you want a whistle that's going to stand out in the session and you don't want to have to spend $300 on an MK Pro, this could be your thing. Good tone quality. It's going to cut through. You will be heard. Yet, I would say a beginner could grab this and learn to play. And so I think it has a lot going for it. Now, Piper's grip, modified Piper's grip, you're never going to play this thing unless you're like, have huge long fingers. You're not going to do that. You're going to have to you're going to have to deal with flatten my fingers out there. You're going to have to deal with that kind of finger spread. But it's a beautiful whistle. I really like it. I waited a long time before getting it, and that was intentional because I didn't know. I wanted to be a better whistle player before I picked this up because I knew it fit in some kind of middle ground, and I needed to be a better player before I could describe that. So my friends, I hope this is helpful. I personally feel like at some point you're going to end up with a stable of whistles and not just one. This whistle may well have its place. And I am very happy to compare the Karavaev Nightingale Low D with any of my other Low Ds if you would like that. So please ask. And I wanted today to take the time to introduce this to you. If this is helpful, please like the video. YouTube will notice that and let our community be expanded and promoted. If you're brand new and just checking us out, please subscribe. I'd love to welcome you into the community. Until next time, this is Scott Shade. Happy whistling, my friends. And if you have a Karavaev Low D, please comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts.